Chapter 2101 Concentrated Strength. Zhang Yi returned to Tianhai City as soon as possible and then called Lu Qian. I have already solved the energy problem. Now put down what you are doing and help me purify these minerals into the purest energy. Those used on mechanical life forms and those used to power Ling must be distinguished. Lu Qian was still worried about the energy problem at this time. It hadn't even been a day since Zhang Yi left when he came back to tell her that the energy problem had been solved. Brother, you are so amazing. How did you do it? Coal mining. Zhang Yi answered concisely. Since there were too many mineral deposits, they could not be piled up here, so Zhang Yi directly asked Lu Karen to bring all the equipment and workers and work in Mu Yan's shadow space.
Now, Mu Yan follows Zhang Yi.
Although she has not broken through to the level of Ypsilon, Zhang Yi has never treated her badly and has always provided her with enough origin of the centipede. At this time, her ability index reached 9,999 points and the area of her shadow expanded several times. But even so, refining the minerals collected by Zhang Yi has to be done several times. There is really no other way. Those original mineral deposits still contain a lot of impurities and need to be purified. Seawater, rocks, and the like need to be cleaned up. However, Lu Karen already had experience in dealing with these things. She was the one who handled all the resources picked up from Fremons before. So Lu Karen brought some aliens with special abilities and entered the shadow space with her. As for physical work, it is now basically done by mechanical life forms. After Lu Karen and those strange people entered the shadow space, they immediately saw the black hills piled up by Zhang Yi inside, and their eyes widened. How much coal does this require? Are you taking all the money from the northwest region? Lu Karen quickly came to his senses, rolled up his sleeves and said, "What are you still standing there for? Get to work. We need to extract the energy from these ores as quickly as possible. Store it in the energy storage tank first. Then compress it into the shape of an energy crystal." Lu Karen came directly to a small hill of coal. She took a deep breath and slowly raised her hands. The ability of void transformation can change the atomic structure of matter, which is the ultimate way to use it. But simply purifying the substances and separating different substances is really too simple. Her hands began to gradually become transparent, emitting a platinum light. This force slowly enveloped the entire small coal mountain in front. Boom! The coal mountain actually began to collapse from the middle. A large number of coal blocks were separated, and impurities were removed in other directions. Then, it's time to extract energy. Combustion is the simplest method, but there will definitely be some waste. Lu Karen has a better way, which is compression. Through her nullification transformation, even the simplest fossil fuel like this one would be quickly collected by her with almost no waste of energy. After a coal pile that was as high as a hill and hundreds of meters high was completely compressed, the energy was concentrated in a translucent metal tank that was only the length of an arm. But after finishing this job, Lu Karen raised his head and looked around. Smiling face with heart eyes, casual date is just a click away. Sign up and start meeting women in your area today. There are similar hills, one after another, so numerous that they are countless. Lu Karen put his hands on his hips and took a deep breath. Let's get started. Zhang Yi felt refreshed at this time, and most of the worries in his heart were dissipated. Then he left Blizzard City directly and rushed north. Next, we'll head straight to Shengjing. As the Shengjing region has the strongest armed forces, their support is particularly important to Zhang Yi. In the battle of hunting a country, it is not enough to rely solely on top combat power. Zhang Yi is made of iron, so how many kilograms of nails can he hammer into the wall? Even if he could rely on Ling's existence to delay or even defeat the gatekeeper of the underworld. However, the Wulwan Empire still has a large number of troops and powerful aliens, and someone is needed to deal with them. The ones under his command alone are not enough and will be directly dragged to death by the human wave tactics. In addition to letting Lu Karen build a mechanical army, he had to borrow troops from various regions. The purpose, of course, is to use several times the force to directly achieve an overwhelming victory and avoid casualties among those around you. Before leaving, Zhang Yi first greeted Meng Yuanjun, Ho Tu, and Shang Dawen. I'm going to Shengjing. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Let's meet up and have a chat. Of course, the three people did not refuse. They also believed that Zhang Yi should have some plans in mind during this period of time. It's not his character to swallow his anger. So the three of them gathered together, waiting for Zhang Yi's arrival. Zhang Yi arrived very quickly. Not long after the communication over there ended, he appeared at the gate of Ming Imperial City. Zhang Yi was still very disciplined. He climbed up the city wall and said to the soldiers around him, "Please inform them that Handan, am here. Your leader knows about this." A general leading the troops walked up to the city wall and saluted very respectfully. "We have received orders from Marshal Meng. Please go to Tongxin Hall." Zhang Yi did not use his ability anymore. After all, he had come to someone else's territory, and he still had to give basic face. So he got on a special car and drove all the way to Tongxin Hall. The Ming Imperial City has changed its appearance since the last time I came. The sky is covered with a huge transparent cover, but it is not a simple glass cover, but a very complex, multifaceted craftsmanship. There was plenty of light inside, with lamps used as supplemental lighting, and the temperature was very pleasant, with the fallen snow on the ground disappearing. Only in a few areas, some snow was left behind, as if to preserve the winter atmosphere. When the car arrived at Tongxin Hall, people from the Longming Guard were already waiting there. The 36 celestial beings were guarding outside the door. When they saw Zhang Yi, they were all filled with curiosity and admiration. Is that the legendary Chaos? He is so young and handsome, yet he has become famous all over the world in just 3 years. It is said that he is known as one of the most powerful aliens in the alien world today. He's really my idol. I didn't expect to see him again. The last time I saw him was last time. My biggest dream in this life is to achieve 1/10 of his achievements. When these powerful and well-trained Longming guards saw Zhang Yi, they no longer cared about their usual reserve, and their eyes were filled with passion. Lord Chaos. Hello, Lord Chaos. Meet Lord Chaos. Everyone looked at Zhang Yi eagerly, hoping that Zhang Yi would keep his gaze on them for a moment. Chapter 21:02 Concentrated Strength 2. 3 years ago, this warehouse manager who came from an ordinary family in Tianhai City had a lower starting point than everyone present here. However, nowadays, he has become the most prestigious and perhaps the most powerful person in the entire Huashu Kingdom. Who wouldn't admire him? Who wouldn't take him as their goal? Zhang Yi got out of the car and walked over. Seeing that these Longming guards were so enthusiastic towards him, he smiled gently, nodded, and waved at them. Ah! There was a sudden scream from the crowd. Several female team members' faces turned red like monkeys' butts, and they almost fainted from excitement. The scene was like meeting a superstar. But now, Zhang Yi's reputation in the entire Huashu Kingdom is not excessive at all for him to receive such treatment. After the end of the world, the men people worship are no longer the handsome young men who can sing and dance, but the aliens with powerful strength. Zhang Yi walked towards Tongxin Hall amidst the gazes of admirers. When he arrived at the door, he saw 2 strange men wearing white Longming Guard uniforms standing on the left and right of the door. The clothes they were wearing were of the same style as those worn by the Longming Guards, but Zhang Yi did not remember having seen such clothes before. The 2 men were not very old, looking to be in their 20s. One was tall and thin with long arms. The other had messy hair with a few strands of red hair mixed in with the black hair. After the 2 men saw him, there was excitement in their eyes, and even a hint of a desire to challenge him, but it was hidden very well. Are you Lord Chaos? The tall and thin man spoke excitedly. Zhang Yi smiled faintly and nodded. Who are you? The tall and thin man raised his thumb and pointed at himself. I am the man who will surpass you in the future. Please remember my name. I am the monkey of the Shengjing Zodiac, the great sage equaling heaven, Sun Wukong. The 12 zodiac animals? Sun Wukong. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. It seemed that Shengjing district was training new people again. The two young guys in front of me may have reached the Epsilon level of supernatural power. Yeah, that's good. Keep up the good work. Zhang Yi responded calmly. The red-haired young man on the other side smiled and opened the door. That's just his temper. Don't be offended. By the way, I'm the rat, the great god of the three altars and seas, Neza, in the Chinese zodiac. It would be my honor if you could remember my name. Zhang Yi walked into the door with a smile, and then the door was closed by the young man codenamed Neza. The two looked at each other, not daring to speak, but communicating through messages using their smart devices. Neza, as expected of chaos. His aura makes me dare not move. I wonder when we can reach this level. Sun Wukong glanced at him and quickly sent a message. Why didn't I see that? I don't think he is as oppressive as General Shang Dawen of our Longming Guard. He looks like an ordinary man. He put his hands behind his head, showing his big white teeth. One day, he can take my place. Neza sighed. What do you know? The more ordinary-looking big guys are, the more terrifying they are. Because there are very few people with powerful abilities who are willing to hide their power and make themselves look like ordinary people. This kind of mentality and forbearance is what we should learn. Smiling face with heart eyes casual date is just a click away. Zhang Yi entered Tongxin Hall, where Ho Tu, Shang Dawen, and Meng Yuanjun were already waiting inside. The interior of Tongxin Hall is a mix of old and new, with old-fashioned and expensive mahogany furniture, and even slogans on the walls that could only be seen in the last century. However, there are also some New Age styles mixed in, hidden in inconspicuous corners. For example, the mahogany sofa may look like it was in the old days, but it is actually full of high-tech technology. When they saw Zhang Yi, the three of them immediately greeted him. Meng Yuanjun stood up and walked over to shake hands with Zhang Yi. Hanan, long time no see. You have done a lot of great things recently. This sentence also has a certain meaning. Shang Dawen also came over and shook hands with Zhang Yi. We all know what happened in Tianhai City. I hope you won't be too sad. Ho Tu still sat steadily on the sofa. She didn't like the complicated social etiquette very much. When she saw Zhang Yi, she just asked, Yang Xinxin came with you, right? Zhang Yi touched his nose and smiled. Well, she's here too. After all, she's my advisor. Ho Tu Guanlongyue said directly. Then call her out. There is no need to hide in the dark. Since people said so, Zhang Yi didn't hesitate and directly let Ho Tu emerge from the shadow. She stood beside Zhang Yi, holding Huahua in her arms. She was wearing a black dress and looked like the black snow princess from a fairy tale. That's right, it's not white snow, but black snow. Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin sat down nearby. Meng Yuanjun asked about the situation in Tianhai City and Donghai City, with concern. In fact, they had already investigated it and knew the truth. Zhang Yi told the truth. More than 5,000 people are missing in Tianhai City, and the losses are heavy. Donghai City is even worse than us. They have more people and many casualties. Meng Yuanjun lit a cigarette, took a puff, and looked at Zhang Yi and said, So, what are your plans? Are you going to take revenge? Zhang Yi raised his lips and said, Of course. We are already sworn enemies. If we don't take action, they will do it sooner or later. It's better to strike first. Several people were not surprised by Zhang Yi's answer, but they still had doubts in their hearts. Shang Dawen crossed his legs and asked, But we don't know the details of the Wulwan Empire's strength. They are in the underground world, and just from the strength they have shown before, their overall strength is stronger than our entire Huashu kingdom. If we want to retaliate, we can only do it symbolically against some of their people or territories. But judging by their style of doing things, that would bring about their crazy revenge. Have you considered all this? Zhang Yi said, Don't worry about this. I have already found out their strength clearly. The population of their race, the location of their cities, the level of technology, and the number of aliens. I know everything clearly. Meng Yuanjun and Shang Dawen were delighted when they heard this. Even Ho Tu looked at Zhang Yi in surprise. Then she looked at Yang Xinxin and suddenly asked, During the time you were gone, Did you do anything that was related to the Wulwan Empire? That's why they launched a crazy revenge. If you want to obtain intelligence about the Wulwan Empire and such confidential information, you must contact the top core personnel of the Wulwan Empire. Dear viewers, thanks for staying with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.